Hey, Silas here. I'm going to be talking about the recent shooting at the YouTube headquarters in San Bruno on April 3rd of 2018. I'm going to be talking about veganism and things like that, and politics, which is a usual topic on this channel. So if you're new on this channel, welcome. I talk about politics. If you're old, then hey, you know why you're still here for the same kind of stuff. But let me get into it. So I'm not going to say the name of the shooter, but it turns out yesterday, before I went to bed, got this news coming in and decided, okay, I'm going to take some time off. My common thing with some of these things is wait at least 12 hours, 24 hours before doing actual things, because if you just react on the start, things start coming out. First reports come out, it's a shooting. People start commenting on it, commenting. Then comes out, it's a white woman, commenting. Comes out, oh, she's wearing a headscarf, possible headscarf, commenting. Oh, how many people are... So yes, I think 12 hours is good time to actually wait, actually get information. Woke up today in the morning, got a lot more information. But first, things I doubt are going to happen. I doubt you're going to have people coming out and saying, as a vegan, I disavow violence by vegans. Doubt people are going to come out and say, as a member of PETA, I disavow violence of people in PETA. I doubt YouTubers are going to come out and say, as a YouTube creator, I disavow violence by YouTube creators. So, and I doubt there's definitely going to be calls for these groups to disavow, although if there are certain groups, there's other people calling, we need to disavow violence on this. And again, I think there's a difference here. She's not, this person, this individual, for all I know, has not directly said she was committing these crimes in the name of veganism, in the name of this. I think specifically said, there's a video coming out where she has discussed how she doesn't appreciate how YouTube was targeting her channel. And now let's talk about that targeting of channels. There's a few channels that are being targeted, few kind of content creators. I joined this YouTube Creators Union, might leave a link below to that. And the head guy is George Spage. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, or George. I'm saying George because I think he's in Germany or something, so it's not Jorge. But anyway, he has this YouTube channel and he created this. He goes into like different weapon kind of tutorials, and a lot of those channels are being demonetized and taken down from YouTube. And I was recently thinking a good way. Okay, there's two different things. There's somebody like Maj Torre. If I'm saying his name wrong, I'm sorry, Maj. I think it's Maj. I was introduced to him by one of my friends who somebody I met through, I think, making YouTube content and things like that. Got in touch with me. He's a really smart guy, really inspired me in different ways, still trying to absorb some of the things that he's told me and taught me. But anyway, coming out, he told me about this guy. Maj Torre has this thing called Black Guns Matter, where he goes into inner city communities, African-American communities, and talks about responsible gun ownership. Because we know in those communities in the United States of America, that's where a disproportionate number of gun murders occur in African-American urban societies, urban inner city places. You get to that situation where people have guns, so he goes in there and he says, why don't you have responsible gun ownership? If you get to a situation where you take away the guns from people, they don't have protection because the criminals still have the guns. So I was thinking some of these gun creators, and I know these gun creators are very spread apart. Like I said, George is in Germany. I see people from different places in the world, so I don't know how they could do this, but if they get in touch with people like Maj and actually increase and say, because people like Maj have situations where they go out and they give these kind of displays, they give these workshops in the inner city areas, and they have videos on YouTube talking about this. And I think that could be a good partnership of these gun creators and them. Another one was somebody like Cardi B, from Party Here Cardi, Kodak Black. A few weeks ago, I think it was like a few weeks ago already, she released this video talking about taxes, her taxes, saying she needs a receipt from the government. And that video, a minute video, I think on Instagram, got in touch with millions of people, tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people. And then news channels picked it up and talked about the interaction. She had some pushback on it, but I was thinking just that 1 minute long video got that information, got probably more people to question their taxes in certain communities, the relationship between the government and taxation, the state and taxation. It got more people to question that than I think Thomas Sowell's last 10 books, at least from certain demographics in the world. And I was thinking that's something that these people in the gun channels could actually think of doing. Now, there's some situations, some questions here where is there a cross-purpose thing here? Going to another hot music artist out there, hip hop artist, someone like Young M.A. She has a really good. I don't really like the last song she just released, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But she has a video. They have the rap videos where they have the guns in the videos and things like that. So YouTube keeps these videos up. These videos come up, and it's what's it called? Videos released. In a day, it's got like millions of views, 10 million views. What if you got the situation where you had these people, these hip hop artists, getting in a situation where they feature these kind of channels that actually do gun instructions, do gun tests like this? Although I think that what I'm saying, there's a cross purpose here where it might not necessarily mesh, is the fact that the kind of violence, the kind of usage of guns that's being discussed in some of these rap videos that stay up, that YouTube doesn't demonetize or take down, is let me gun tote, let me go out and shoot these people. Like, you'd think I don't have like complete murderers on my side who can actually take these shots for me. If you step up to me, you don't think I don't have killers on my side. They have those kind of videos, yet those videos stay up. When it's another video where it's essentially like a cooking channel where someone's like, oh, I got this pizza, this is how it tastes, or this is how you make this pizza, but they're doing it with weapons, those are the channels being targeted. Those are the channels being taken down. So I guess maybe they're saying instructional. And those people who are making these channels, I think if they partnered with some of these hip hop artists, I think it would get to the point where people would be like, oh, look, this is what we're talking about. YouTube can say, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about how these are the violent people. But at the same point, I think the argument for not taking down the hip hop artists and things like that is, despite what they say about keeping it real, they're going to argue that the hip hop artists are just doing an act. This is just an act, whereas these people with the gun channels are actually doing it in real life, IRL. So yeah, I think that's the main disconnect there. But I think there's something in there. I know probably smarter minds at this have thought of this before, but I'm just floating this out there if anybody has more kind of decisions on why this is happening, how it could happen, why it wouldn't happen. But definitely someone like Maj Toure, who he's talking about responsible things, but he's more in the African-American urban community. I think there could be some partnerships there, things for people to look into if they kind of want. Now, the last thing, this video is still up of this cat and the images and things like that. And this was the situation. I just woke up in the morning, have my Sunday walk situation, went out and I saw this. And I was like, what is going on here? What's going on with this cat? First of all, cats are straight murderers. They're just cold-blooded murderers. Even the most domestic cat can just, if it just went out wild, it has no chill. It gets out there and just kills things. And I was playing with this snake. I didn't know what kind of snake this was. It could have been a green grass snake, completely harmless. Could have been a green mamba, very venomous. I ended up chopping its head off and found out that it was a green mamba. It had these fangs it seemed to have these fangs in its mouth and the roof of its mouth. So yeah, anyway, disposed of it. But when it comes to veganism, a few things. I'll come back to this at the end. But I was thinking most people politically are vegans. When it comes to things like universal basic income, there was there's very few Asian politicians in the world, but the few ones that I've heard of, at least in the United States of America, the few that I've heard of, there's Ted Lieu from San Francisco. He's has some position in San Francisco, and this new guy, Yang or something, he's coming out talking about the universal basic income. And to me, it's this very basic knowledge that if you do this, even though they're doing it for ostensibly positive causes, even though most people in the world are like on the left politically, follow things like universal basic income, hear things like this and think, yeah, that's a good idea. Everybody should get $1,000. Why not? More money, the better. But that's the kind of thing I think a lot of people, when they choose something like veganism, they get into that situation where they're like, look, animals are being mistreated, and most animals are being mistreated. When you really look at factory farming, when you look at the process that some of these animals go through, when you look at how dairy cattle are treated, kept pregnant all the time, and then the kids are taken away from them, and then the kind of things that are injected into animals, the treatment that they have, the stress hormones that they're probably going to naturally create just from being in those kind of situations goes into your food. And I think like the growth hormones and things like that, what's the cross-pollination, a cross-situation in that? What is the test of like, if this food is actually put in an animal, even if that growth hormone doesn't go into humans and fatten them up like it would the animals, when it gets into the actual animals themselves, it might change the way the animal meat itself is actually made up, which makes it harder for your body to break down. So anyway, there's a lot of things to dislike about the food industry, especially when it comes to livestock and things like that. But when it comes to that kind of situation, so I get a lot of people use an emotional reaction to that in order to become vegans. They don't necessarily look into the actual effects of their veganism. And that's how I think a lot of people are politically. They look at something like UBI and they say, yes, people are mistreated. They look at gun control and they say, yes, certain people are mistreated. We need to get this kind of situation where these groups need to be helped. And this feels good. It makes me feel good to say I support these policies. And it also gets to the situation where you don't necessarily have to do more than that. But I don't think it's necessarily the most positive way, because now when you actually become a vegan and you do these things, some of the people who are employed in the meat industry lose their jobs. And then people say, oh, who cares? Who cares if people who are hurting animals lose their jobs, et cetera, et cetera. Some people have health situations from not eating meat because you have to replace your certain foods and things like that. You need to look into things like this. So that's the same kind of situation. If you have a UBI, what happens after that? So don't just go on the emotional aspect of it. Don't just take something emotionally. Most people are political vegans. Most people are vegans in a lot of situations where they've made decisions based off of emotions and not by actually looking into the actual details of what backs that decision. Why is this decision more positive in general on base facts, base realities, base evidence than this other decision? Yeah, so finishing up, back to the situation with this cat, checked online, checked and found, okay, this could be a poisonous snake. There's no real animal pest control thing here. The neighborhood I live in is a lot of houses everywhere. So if I just catch and release this snake, it could go out, go bite somebody else, bite somebody's dog, bite somebody's kid. There's people around. I care about the human animal a lot more than I do pretty much any other animal. I know there's going to be variations like that, like now if it's my pet versus some random person I don't even know of, will never see. That's a question, but I mean, I think that's a bridge you cross when you get to it. Probably side of the human being if it's like a life or death situation for both things involved. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. What I'm thinking is with the situation, I think in this situation, I ask like with vegans, what would you do in this situation? Would you have killed that snake? If you don't really have somebody else to call, would you just run away? Would you just leave it alone? Snake could have bit the cat. Like, I was kind of worried, like, hey, I didn't see the cat for like a few hours, like 12 hours after it. It's kind of a stray, but kind of lives on the compound and feed it sometimes. But I might actually build it a little home now. This built like some shelter. Normally shelters in different places around the compound, but might build it an actual shelter because like, yeah, protecting the house from an actual deadly snake like that. That snake could come into the house and bite somebody. My nephew was around here some months back. But yeah, anyway. So coming back to this, I think it's positive if you are in a situation where you actually do directly kill other sentient beings for your sustenance. I think a positive thing for you to do is go out and actually find out the information about how these animals are treated. If you can get to a place where you can actually see it being done or do it yourself, I don't think it's necessarily bad to consider going into the steps and doing that and being more aware of your process and your part in the cycle of life. Because a lot of you people are like, hey, we don't do this. We don't touch this at all. We can't deal with this at all. But you also have like cats or things like that. And the cats, they're completely down with it. Like, yeah, see, this is such a cuddly animal. This is a great animal. This is a cool cat. But then that cat is a straight cold-blooded killer. Like there's zero F's are given. It will go out there and just kill for the sport of it. It's a sporting killer. And you still like this animal. You still like this creature. So that shows that, yes, in general, when it comes to certain situations, killing is a thing that will happen. Does not necessarily make the being that kills an inherently evil being, but it's something that happens. Just because you are involved in eating animals that are killed doesn't necessarily make you inherently evil. But I think information is a positive thing to have in this situation if you can go out and actually be more aware or see, can you possibly do it? I think for me, I don't think there's an animal I've eaten. Okay, some of the seafood and things like that, I haven't seen them being captured and killed. But I've seen chickens, cows, goats. I've seen fresh fish being caught and gutted and things like that. So pretty much all the foods that I eat on a regular basis, I've actually seen them being slaughtered. And with some of them, I've actually participated in that process, can actually dress animals and things like that. But yeah, so I think more knowledge about certain things is more positive to make better decision making. Now, also remember that coming up with these next upcoming weeks, I wonder what's going to happen with this shooting narrative and things like that. Are we going to talk about toxic femininity? I doubt it. Are we going to talk about a few other toxic things, disavow here and there? I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to see how this is going to tie in with the current March for Our Lives thing situation with the whole, what's it called? With the whole situation with the Parkland shooting. But yeah, finishing off, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think about some of the things I've talked about in this video. And I have more material and things like that coming up soon. Links below to merchandise store as well, and Patreon if you guys want to help out. Throw me $1 or more. There's different kind of tiers. You can check them out there. Goodbye.